Folks, welcome into sportsbookreview.com. It's Tuesday, and it's time to talk some Major League Baseball. Full card tonight. Nice, hot, and humid weather here on the East Coast. We are ready for action. I'm Donnie Seymour. He's Jason Radowitz, along with Kyle Purviance. We are the sportsbookreview.com Major League Baseball team, rested, ready to get after it. Jason, how you doing today?
Yeah, a little disappointed after last night. Had the over in the Red Sox-Blue Jays game. I kind of capped it the right way. I said both teams should get 5 runs, guaranteeing 11 runs. Well, the Red Sox had 5, the Blue Jays only with 4 runs. Had their chances, didn't get the job done, so took a loss in that game. Of course, there were 7 runs in the first 5 innings, and I go to the full game. And then the bullpens are the ones that kind of hold it down later in the game. So a little confusing, a little rough, but we're going to get back on track today.
All right, let's get after it here. Kyle, Tuesday on the show, full card tonight. Some decent spots to look at on the Major League Baseball card.
Yeah, nice full card. Nothing early. We get some time to process it all, wait for the lineups to come out. Yesterday was a good night. The play of the day hits. Got some value menu hits as well. Got a couple team totals. So it's a good day. Looking forward to today, and a couple plus money spots I like. It's going to be a good day.
Welcome into the chat box, folks. 87,200 people have hit that subscribe button. Let's keep pushing that number higher. Hopefully by tomorrow's show, we'll have 87,300 subscribers. Doesn't cost you guys anything. Just click that button. You see it right down there. If it's red, you are dead to us. Make that gray. Turn the notification bell on. That means you are subscribed to sportsbookreview.com. And when you get that notification, you can come into the chat box and say hello. You know what we got going on here over the summer? $20,000 in Bitcoin up for grabs on our Major League Baseball contest. If you need any help, before we show the video here, look right above that chat box there. It's yellow, SBR Sports Picks. Click there to get more information. But if you don't want to read and you're too lazy, pretty much like I am, check out this video by Lee Martin explaining the details of the contest.
The free $20,000 MLB 10 runs for free cash contest is now live at sbrforum.com. What is the contest? It's simple. Each day in a designated SBR forum post, you pick one team that you think will score 10 or more runs that day. You qualify to win $100 that day if you are correct. Each day the game continues, you pick another team. And every time your team scores 10 runs, you'll be adding onto your total score. The contest is split into 3 segments, and at the end of each segment, the top scorers split $2,500. And at the conclusion of the contest, there's even more cash up for grabs, in total over $20,000. And I know what you're thinking. You can just pick the Yankees every day and win. No, you can only pick the same team once per week. Check out the link in the description for more info, and see you in the SBR forum for the contest.
Thank you, Lee Martin, for explaining that. And by the way, big news just came out as we're watching this video. Kristen Yelich has tested positive for COVID. David Stearns announced today he is on the COVID IL. Yelich is fully vaccinated, so possibly missing the next 7 to 10 days here. Not at the right time. I guess you could say it's at the right time. You'd rather miss the time right now than obviously later in September or October once we get to playoff baseball, but some interesting doings there. COVID hasn't really snatched up Major League Baseball over the past couple of weeks. A few guys maybe testing positive here and there, Philadelphia Phillies, Alec Boehm, and also starting pitcher Aaron Nola. But now you see one of the best players in Major League Baseball that's going to be sitting out for just a little bit longer. So some interesting news that is coming down the pike for us today. Let's get into the Major League Baseball card. Nothing in the afternoon, so we could dip right in. Now, we choose the games as we go about 24 hours before the games start. So, hey, New York Mets, it takes a while to get a starting pitcher. I understand here. Charlie Morton's going to go for Atlanta, but the Mets undecided right now. Maybe a bullpen game in this affair, but you saw yesterday the one common theme, Jason. I used to love taking Mets team totals. Used to love them. Is it Citi Field? Is there a force field? Are you not allowed to score more than 2 runs per team per game here, Jason?
Yeah, the Mets they're the Mets, right? And offensively, they've been challenged throughout the entire year. They are getting better offensively with Pete Alonso, showing some power. Jeff McNeil should be back in the lineup for the most part after getting injured a couple of games ago. So the offense looks better, but now you're going up against Charlie Morton, who is a solid pitcher, 3.47 xFIP in his last 30 days, striking out nearly 30% of batters. The walks are a little bit high and does allow some hard contact, but you can't really rely on the Mets against Charlie Morton in this spot. Again, Pete Alonso, Conforto and Smith, the lefties that can do some damage, but for the most part, look, we can't even really make a play on this game because we don't know who the Mets pitcher is going to be. But we can also talk about the trade deadline. It's coming up in a couple of days, and so we'll see what the Mets do, what other teams do to bolster their teams. It's going to be really interesting throughout the entire trade deadline. There's going to be a lot of different deals.
And also take a look here. There is an odds boost here. The Braves and the Mets, each team to record a hit in the first inning today. So obviously the Braves would have to one, the Mets would have to get one. We're going to get into one a little bit later today, which I think is a fascinating one, an odds boost that might be worth, a little bit of a taste on. But Kyle, take a look at this game between the Mets and the Atlanta Braves. And again, like we always like to look at teams up and down the list just to see if they have advantages. The Mets seemingly not being able to hit this year, but it's almost like now, Kyle, the same way you're looking at, I don't know, Oakland or Seattle sometimes, like, hey, you know what? That's a pretty big ballpark. I don't know what the hell is going on with the Mets, or at least the Mets home games at Citi Field. Nobody scores.
Yeah, exactly. And how it approach, and I see it a lot in the chat box, like, oh, the underdogs are winning. My favorite loss in the 9th inning. The Astros is a perfect example. They dominated the first 5 innings when they had the exponential pitching advantage. Why are you leaving it up to full games and leaving it up to bullpens when you don't even know who's going to come in out of the bullpen a lot of the times, but you know who the 2 starting pitchers are going to be, and you figure when you have a guy like Garcia, et cetera, they're going to go the 5 innings. So that's why you bet the first 5 innings. Astros won me a bet last night. First 5 innings, they lost the game. I don't give a damn what happened in the 9th inning, because why would you leave anything to the bullpens unless you're attacking a team like the Braves with a bad bullpen? And this might be a spot. Look, we don't know who the starting pitcher is now, but maybe you wait till a little bit later in the game. That Mets live team total drops down. You need 1.5, 2 runs, and you're getting that Braves bullpen. Then you attack the bullpen to give yourself an advantage with team totals. Don't rely on them for full game money lines and run lines. It's foolish. It's for the fish. You're going to be swallowed by the sharks. The first 5s, know what you're getting. Know you have the sample size for the pitchers. You know how they profile. And when you attack bullpens, use it to make your bets better by getting those team totals. This would be a spot where I'd live bet the Mets and wait for that Braves bullpen to come in.
Yeah, but as we take a look, as we just said, Christian Yelich tests positive. Is it going to be one of those seasons again where we look forward to the NFL as well, where you're trying to beat numbers on a Tuesday or Wednesday? You like what you got set up, and a little bit of an outbreak on your team. We're seeing in Major League Baseball here. So Yelich goes down. We'll see if that pertains. And also, you've seen some of the lines drop. FanDuel opened up here, and we'll talk about this game a little bit later, but already minus 142 down to minus 126 just because Yelich is out. Let's move down to Tampa Bay tonight, 963, 964, the New York Yankees and the Tampa Bay Rays. 2 lefties on the mound today, Montgomery versus McClanahan. Looking across at the numbers across the board. Here in New Jersey, 152 turns into 158. It's a favorite here for Tampa Bay. 153 offshore. Pinnacle now showing a 147, so a little bit of a movement down. 7.5s across the board. Odds boost in this game, which is one of the ones I think is rather interesting this year. It's a minus 120 to a plus 150. Get this. Either the Yankees or the Rays in the first inning get a hit. That means you basically have, worst case scenario, 6 batters to get 1 base hit and cash a 150 ticket. Finally, they're listening to the people out here. Give us something that's fun and we can hit on and enjoy it. I like that bet. But talking about the game itself, Jason, what are we looking at here between the Yankees and the Rays? By the way, Rays in on a lot of guys. Chris Bryant possibly, Max Scherzer, maybe some movement there for the Rays as they go in the summer as well.
Yeah, the Rays clearly aren't done when it comes to making some moves. You look at both of these lineups right now, the Rays, Cruz hasn't been great against lefties recently, and that's probably one of the reasons why the Rays were kind of able to get Cruz a little bit cheaper than I think some would have thought. But even, the other batters, Rosarena, Franco, Diaz, Zunino, Wendell, Lau, they've all just destroyed when it comes to power against lefties. Now, Montgomery, not a guy that allows so much power, so it's going to be an interesting matchup here when it comes down to it. But against Montgomery, the Rays, they've done not so great. 190 average for the guys that are on the roster right now, and just a 700 OPS. So that's why the line is kind of low at 7.5, even though the Rays kind of look like a really good team against lefties. Then you got the Yankees. We talked about this plenty of times. They're really good at working walks. Well, what does McClanahan do? He walks a bunch of batters, especially righties, nearly 10% of the time. I'm not sure if McClanahan faced the Yankees. I think it might have been once. Yeah, McClanahan faced the Yankees once, 5 hits and 11 at-bats, 2 doubles, a home run from Urshela. So interesting stuff there. I think the Yankees are probably a better team. I think Urshela should be back in the lineup due to, I think, from COVID. I think he's back now, if I'm not mistaken. So Urshela should be in the lineup. He does have a home run against McClanahan. So I kind of like the Yankees in this spot. I think they can get the job done, especially on the team total over. maybe in the first 5 instead of going full game with that Rays bullpen. But I do like the Yankees. I think there's something. The Yankees have something going for them offensively against lefties, and if they want to do some damage or even get close to making the playoffs, they have to win these games. So I would look at the Yankees here. Yeah.
It'll be an interesting one down in Tampa Bay, but I'm out on the Yankees from like a winning perspective. I've waited on them for months, and they're going to get it together, and the lineup just doesn't seem to turn over. And is it going to take 3 batters they're going to have to replace in the lineup, all with big names? Like, what are you going to get, Rizzo, Bryan, and somebody else to try to unclog that lineup per se? I love what Tampa Bay is doing. Nelson Cruz was the absolute perfect guy to go out and get as a leadership in your clubhouse. And also, when you take a look at a franchise that's run the way they are, they have prospects to flip, and if they can flip for another piece or two, they might give the Boston Red Sox a run for the money throughout the rest of the summer. Kyle, looking at this game tonight, as I said, the odds boost here, an interesting one. Either team to get a hit in the first inning, you turn that into a plus 150 number. How are you looking at this game between the two lefties on the mound?
Yeah, I like that, and we sort of talked a little bit about it before the show. The top of these lineups actually profile nicely against these two pitchers, so there's much worse spots you can get than that. So I actually kind of agree with that and like that odds boost. Now, this one's kind of interesting. Look, I don't trust the Yankees. I'm not betting this game. Yankees and Rays, 2 teams I absolutely despise betting this year. I mean, flat out. But I will say there's underdog value on the Yankees today. Montgomery's actually been very, very good against this Rays lineup. Now, I know they added Nelson Cruz, who over a 3-year sample size has smashed lefties. I know he hasn't been great recently this year. But if you look at Montgomery's last 5 starts against Tampa Bay, only once did he have less than 27 fantasy points, a 50 burger and a 44 in his last 2. It's only a 628 weighted 3-year OPS against the projected lineup. So Montgomery actually looks pretty good, and they are an underdog in the first 5 innings. If you want to take a sprinkle there, I don't mind it. McClanahan on the reverse side of that has not been good against the Yankees. He's been solid overall in his last 5 starts, 1 real bad start, but the other 4 pretty solid. But his last 3 against the Yankees, a 1, a 7, his last 4, a 0, a 1, a 7, and a 16. So they have shown the propensity to hit this guy. It's pretty 50-50 overall. Of course, I think the Rays will go further this season, but I do think there's some underdog plus money value on the Yankees today. And if I'm going to do that, I would do it in the first 5 innings.
Maybe an underlook in this game coming up here, 9:59, 9:60, the Dodgers and the San Francisco Giants. Urias, the lefty on the mound, versus Webb. If we take a look at the numbers across the board, Dodgers opened up offshore at Pinnacle, a minus 130 favorite. They're now a minus 118. Here in New Jersey, minus 126. That turns into a minus 122. And I got to say, I agree with it here. Cheap price here out of New Jersey, plus 104, offshore, plus 109 for the San Francisco Giants. Maybe I'm tired of just doubting the San Francisco Giants at this point, and I see an even number, basically, with a home team being the Giants. Who's to say they can't win? The one thing I do know, runs are probably going to be tough to come by. Number 2, somebody's probably going to walk off with a victory here, Jason. What are we looking at late night West Coast Dodgers and San Francisco Giants from your perspective?
So what's crazy is Logan Webb right now, in his last 30 days, 71.4% ground balls. So even in July, 25 ground balls to just 10 fly balls. Yeah, he hasn't gone deep in these games, but when Webb is on the mound, the Giants haven't lost since looks like May 5th. Obviously, he didn't pitch in June, but it's been 6 straight games where when Webb pitches, they win. And so he's giving them a chance to win, getting a lot of ground balls. Now, the difference here is the Dodgers, 34.8% ground balls against righties in the last 30 days. But when he faced the Dodgers in his last start, he did get those 10 ground balls to just 3 fly balls. So Webb has looked good against the Dodgers just previously. And even on 529, he went 5 innings, allowed just 2 runs on 1 hit, 7 strikeouts and no walks, 1 earned run, still got 6 ground balls to 5 fly balls. And then Urias, if you go to him, he's actually had an xFIP of 5.07 in his last 30 days, striking out under 20% of the batters. Pretty interesting stuff against lefties. He's been pretty bad. 0.385 weighted OBA and ISO of 261, also striking out less righties than against lefties. Now, the lineup probably going to have more righties than lefties, so Urias, he's kind of been better against righties, even though he is a lefty pitcher. So like Donnie said, I do think we'll probably see an under in this game. I think the Giants could squeak out this win, especially in the first 5, because, again, Urias, he's been pretty bad with walks against righties. Also, strikeouts are kind of low against righties as well. So he hasn't gotten hit for damage. He's giving himself a chance to get hit with damage. The Giants can absolutely do that with their offense. They're only striking out 16.7% of the time against lefties in the last 30 days, which is really key. If the Giants can put the ball in play, they definitely have a chance to win in the first 5 innings.
Yeah, Matt Brott says, question, are you sure it's 6 at-bats for the odds boost? It reads the team's first plate appearance. Yes, because obviously it would read quite differently there because they obviously know who the first batter of the game is going to be since it's a home and away game between the Yankees and Tampa Bay. So it looks to include both of those teams for the 6 outs. Also in this game, if you like the Dodgers to win the game, you're probably backing Julio Urias for the simple fact is he's probably going to have a good 5 to 6 innings and you possibly will have the lead heading into late innings. You do have a DraftKings odds boost in this game. Plus 180 for Urias to pick up the victory for the Dodgers. So instead of laying the minus money number, unless you're just, Kreskin out here, like, hey, you know what? They're not going to have the lead all game to the 9th inning. So Urias doesn't have a chance to get that absolute W. If you think the Dodgers are going to win this game, there's a pretty good chance he pitches and pitches well, and they have the lead into the back end. So a plus 180 odds boost there, maybe a little bit different thinking here if you want to take the Dodgers as a big-time dog. Kyle, what are you thinking about tonight? San Francisco Giants, Los Angeles Dodgers.
I'm seeing the Giants as home underdogs, and so that's the value for me. And look, the Dodgers lineup absolutely profiles better against Webb than the Giants do against Urias. I mean, it's actually not even close. Urias looks really, really good against this lineup. But for me, I'm staying the hell away. It just seems like these games are close till the very end. It's some sort of walk-off situation, Great relief guys like Jansen can't get it out. It's a little too dicey for me. But if I was going to bet this game, Giants home underdogs makes a lot of sense. They're one of the best home teams in baseball. They're good in the first 5 innings, as Vittel has put up in the chat box, 28, 14, and 4. It's a great stat in the first 5 innings. Tough to go against Urias. I will say that the Dodgers lineup profiles better. Guys like Turner, has been pretty good in 5 career at-bats, 3 doubles, stuff like that. Stay away from me, but I do think there's value on the Giants as home underdogs.
Oh, there you go. So we'll get after it, see what happens in this game tonight. But an interesting one all the way through. No longer are we sleeping on the Giants, and maybe the Giants get in the Max Scherzer updates here. As I'm seeing here on the John Heyman put out a tweet here, at least 14 teams have called the Nationals here. So he is going to be on the move, and this is one of the pitchers that you don't see that often. A guy of his caliber can really shift the playoff power balance here. He goes to Minnesota, outrageous. He goes to the Dodgers, outrageous. He goes to the Astros, outrageous. You almost start thinking those teams the favorites, no matter who he lands on a good baseball team. You're looking at a 1-2-3 punch. Can you imagine that? Like, Corbin Burns, Max Scherzer, Peralta, who's the other, not Corbin Burns, who's the third starter out there, the dominant one? Woodruff, there you go. So, yep, exactly. Woodruff just slipped my mind. That is an amazing. Like, imagine going to the playoffs. Like, usually we're going to face over the first 3 games. Should be some good stuff to watch out for. Let's get to some value menu wagers on the card tonight. There's a couple games I really like today. Circled 5 different spots. One, I do have a best bet and a banker, which we're going to go over in just a few moments. But just for overall value tonight, I think I get a decent matchup here. The Minnesota Twins team total over 4.5 minus 140. That's sitting here at BetMGM. I'm going to go for that for my value menu wager. I'm not going to break it down just a little bit because I got much more riding on the next game we're going to talk about. But I'm going for the Twins tonight. What do you take a look at that, Jason, for your value menu wager?
Yeah, I'm looking at the Blue Jays over 4.5 on the team total. It was at minus 155 when I looked at it. Now it's at minus 165, but that's kind of why it's not an official play for me. It's just going to be a value play. The Blue Jays, of course, are going up against Richards. He's got a 4.84 xFIP in his last 30 days, striking out under 15% of batters. He's really struggled against righties now. 424 weighted OBA in his last 67 plate appearances, 306 ISO against those 67 plate appearances against the righties. Of course, the Blue Jays lineup should have 7 of their 9 as righties. And then lefties, they also have 185 ISO against him in his last 28 plate appearances. So you'll have Biggio and McGuire. McGuire had a couple of base hits yesterday, so he's seeing the ball pretty well. So I think the Blue Jays get the job done offensively, and they'll be able to score 5 runs in the full game here.
There you go, Kyle. Value menu wagers on your card tonight. Where are you going for that value?
I'm going right back to the Houston Astros and minus 0.5 in the first 5 innings.
Spot in the first.
I mean, you've got McCullers versus Flexen. McCullers has absolutely dealt against the Seattle lineup. He's also got the lowest weighted 3-year OPS versus the lineup on the card tonight. He, Adam Wainwright, and Montgomery are actually tied right there at the bottom. I know someone asked that in the chat box, and I forgot to include Wainwright in that list there, but I just like the Astros minus 0.5. Look, Flexen doesn't profile beautifully. It's a nice number, minus 115. You've got the Astros. I know they lost last night, but they're, the highest run differential in baseball. They're well on their way. You look at advantages on their lineup, 63, 15, 25, 21, 22, and 23%. I think they score runs. I think they score runs early. I like Lance McCullers tonight in DFS as well. He's decently priced, 10-5, 10-4. I think he's got 40-point upside there on FanDuel. 4 of his last 5 games, at least 40 fantasy points or more. I'll take a minus 0.5 in the first 5. That's why, Art, we take a minus 0.5 in the first 5. I'm not doing a whole money line, 135 to 160. Minus 115 in the first 5 innings on the value menu, minus 0.5.
There you go. Best bets on the Major League Baseball board. Let's get after and hammer these tonight. I'm back in business, and I'm going to go to the city of brotherly love. I have no problems. Like, some people can't bet against their own team. I do it quite frequently and cash in like crazy. I'm going to do it again to Matt Moore. The simple fact that Matt Moore in a, I don't want to say a pennant race, but a division race is still a starter. And, today's Tuesday. Get ready for Thursday when Vince Velasquez makes another start for the Philadelphia Phillies. Sometimes they just don't get it. I'd rather have a full bullpen game than Matt Moore. If we take a look at his statistics here on the year, take a look at this, a 127 xFIP minus number on the season. ERA 5.79, 5.27 as an xFIP number on the season, 5.02 as a Sierra number. So you say, okay, well, maybe he had a rough first half of the season. How's he doing in the last 30 days? If we take it that, basically equally as bad. A 122 xFIP minus, 5.79 ERA, 5.06 as the xFIP, and a 4.77 Sierra. Everything has been bad for Matt Moore. So we take a look at the seasonal statistics here for the Washington Nationals and their anticipated lineup. Got some pretty good batters. Escobar, 344, Turner, 436, Soto, 362, Zimmerman, 375, Harrison, 389, and Rivera, 355. And that's for the season itself. Last 30 days, staying hot as well. Take a look at the ISO power numbers over just the last 30 days going up against left-handed pitching. Turner, 385, Soto, 250, Zimmerman, 350, Harrison, 231, Rivera, 429. There should be enough at-bats in that lineup tonight over a full 9 innings. And keep in mind, in Philadelphia, small ballpark, 90 degrees at first pitch, wind blowing out. You did have a bullpen game essentially from the Philadelphia Phillies last night. You might even get another one tonight. Give me all 9 at-bats tonight. The Washington Nationals are going to score 5 runs in this game. I took them at 4.5 minus 135 as my play of the day at BetMGM. Rooting for a take, 10-6, 10-5. I'll take it here. Just get the Nationals to 5 runs, which you'll get tonight. Best bet and banker. I'm all over it, Jason. Take care of business tonight. What you got?
Yeah, I'm on the same game, just slightly different on the wager. I'm going over 2.5 in the first 5 on the team total for those same Nationals. I got it on DraftKings at plus 100. It's now at minus 105. If you go to PointsBet, you go to WinBet, you're seeing around minus 120 ranges. So I'm not really sure what DraftKings is doing there, but lots of value there from how I see it. Don, you already talked about most things that I would have talked about, but we could just go on with Washington and them against lefties in the last 30 days. Washington, they actually have an OPS of 933 that leads the entire league in OPS in the last 30 days against lefties. Also an ISO of 260. They have a weighted OBA 396 as a team. The slugging 558. Their average 298, which is also the best in the last 30 days for lefties. So a lot of extra base hits, a lot of walks, a lot less strikeouts than we're used to seeing from the Nationals lineup in the first place. And then, like you said, the lineup from top to bottom looks really, really good. Even Rene Rivera batting in the 7th spot, most likely the lineup isn't out yet, but even him, he's batting 429 ISO, 436 weighted OBA, and 8 at-bats against lefties. Well, he has 2 home runs against Moore throughout his career. So a lot to like in this lineup. I think there's a lot of value on that first 5. On the team total, I got it at plus 100. Even at minus 105, there's plenty of value with other books at minus 120 right now. I hop on that if you agree, and we're going to make that the best bet.
Yeah, should have a running mate as well with the Philadelphia Phillies with Fedde on the mound, but also keep in mind Matt Moore, a lefty. Check out his numbers on the year here, Jason, as well. 401 weighted on base average to righties, a 305 ISO power number. And the only lefty in the lineup is a damn good one in Juan Soto. So righties stacked up.
It's just like the Braves. The Braves just before, they just knocked him for 6 runs, 2 home runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts in 6 innings. Well, they only got Freeman and Peterson. The rest are righties, and that's why the Braves absolutely destroyed Moore with a bunch of righties in the lineup. The same deal goes for this game as well.
Let's go. As we like to say, Jason, let's get 5-5 in this one and cash this bad boy out quickly here. Kyle, what are you taking a look at your best bet and bankers on the card tonight?
Well, I'll piggyback one of that and give a prop out first. I took Matt Moore under 4.5 strikeouts. I mean, Washington strikes out the 5th fewest of any team in baseball. He's only hit the 5 strikeout number twice this year. Once was all the way back in April in like his 2nd start, and the other time was against the hapless Marlins. So under 4.5 Ks against that lineup, I think makes a ton of sense. That's at minus 143. I like that quite a bit for my play of the day. I'm taking the Cardinals minus 0.5 in the first 5 innings at plus 110. I think the number's wrong. They've got the Indians or the Guardians. Are they the Guardians officially yet, or when does that kick
next
in?
year?
No.
Next year.
Yeah, like
Next year.
2025.
So they're still the Indians. What the hell are we supposed to call them? The Grittians. I'll call them the Grindians or something. I don't know what the hell I'll call them. But I just think the number's wrong. Wainwright in his last 2 starts against Cleveland. By the way, lowest 3-year weighted OPS pitcher versus team is Wainwright. Like I said, tied with Montgomery and Lance McCullers. 101 fantasy points in his last 2 starts against Cleveland. You go up here to Cal Quantrill, who we like to pick on here on the show. Combined in his last 3, only 33. It's one of the bigger advantages, the Cardinals lineup versus Quantrill as opposed to the Indians lineup versus Wainwright. I actually like how the Cardinals lineup profiles tonight. I do think Wainwright can deal in this one as he's done in his last 2. They don't profile well. Give me some underdog money on that. Plus 110. Cardinals minus 0.5 in the first 5 innings.
Cardinals lineup out: Carlson, Goldschmidt, Arenado, O'Neill, Molina, Edman, Bader, Carpenter, and Young. So nobody really sitting out in that lineup, which makes you feel good when you see it come out. So we'll root that on, see if we can cash in some tickets. But let's get to the odds lightning round and whip it around Major League Baseball to see if we can find any of those crumbs out here that make some sense. 951, 952, Milwaukee and Pittsburgh. Anderson, the lefty, versus Anderson, the lefty, on the mound. So both guys are lefties with the same exact last name. 9's turning into 8.5. As I just said when we were talking about a few moments ago, Yelich is on the COVID IL list. So now we're talking about minus 142s in New Jersey, now 122s. Offshore, minus 135s turn into minus 118s, just one batter. You still think the Brewers will be able to pull this game down, but kind of shocking that they're going to be without Yelich over the next 10 days, Jason.
Yeah, it looks like Jace Peterson, another guy that got hit with COVID. So they might not be the only ones. We might see some more come out pretty soon. Who knows? We're on the show, so we're not really paying attention. But also, you got Tyler Anderson of Pittsburgh. He's a guy that Pittsburgh, they're looking to trade before this starts. So like I spoke about on Twitter, I wouldn't go with this game at all because Anderson's a guy that might be traded before the game even begins. You got Yelich, you got Peterson, maybe other guys out with COVID for the Brewers. It's just a game that you should not be touching, not be playing, because you might see a different pitcher for the Pirates, and you're going to see a depleted lineup for the Brewers, even though they kind of look good against lefties. It's just we don't know what's going to happen. So just stay away from this game, move on. Big slate ahead. So, this is a no-no.
Big slate, you're right. 953, 954. We'll skip over that Washington to Philadelphia. You know where our mindset is at in this one. We're looking at runs, and more runs as we see 11s across the board. But Kyle, going to ask you about this game here. 971, 972. Alcantara on the mound for Miami versus Watkins versus Baltimore. One of those guys that has a decent ERA, but his analytics don't match up with his ERA. Miami favored. Opened up at minus 125, now sits at minus 134. Even as high as 144 here in New Jersey. The Marlins on the road versus Baltimore. Maybe a sneaky play to try to take the dog and the Orioles. Any thoughts here?
Man, I'll tell you what, it's crazy to see how the Marlins profile against Watkins is so bad, right? And so I'm doing you all a favor. If you're doing the dogger pass and you're taking Baltimore, I'm going to bash Spencer Watkins for you right now, which means he may have the pitching performance of a lifetime tonight. But, I mean, Alcantara is much, much better. And the Marlins line, I mean, their team total's over 5 for a reason. And typically, you just smash the under, right? Like, oh, Marlins 5 runs. Are you kidding me? You could smash the under for 3 damn games, and they probably won't get 5 runs. But they profile nicely. Big-time advantages across the board. Alcantara doesn't look bad against this lineup. Not a world beater, of course, but it's just slightly. It's in the 4-hole, the 4th lowest weighted 3-year OPS against an opposing lineup. When you look at Watkins on the other side, it's pretty high, and we've got advantages up and down that order. I would lean the Marlins here. I'm not going to touch this with a 10-foot pole. If I'm betting the Marlins, I'm doing it in the first 5 innings. No way I'm relying on that bullpen. So you want to do it when they do have the pitching advantage in my eyes. Watkins versus Alcantara, do it in the first 5 innings. You can get a minus 0.5 at minus 105. But for me, complete stay-away game. I understand if you want to take Baltimore, I just can't trust Spencer Watkins. Alcantara looks like Greg Maddux compared to Spencer Watkins. I'm sorry. And the lineup looks good. So for me, Marlins minus 0.5 in the first 5.
961, 962, Toronto and Boston here. Robbie Ray just got lit on fire by the Boston Red Sox not too long ago. Garrett Richards on the mound here at home in Boston. 11s across the board at this time, but a slight favorite here to Toronto. Opened up offshore here, Jason, minus 118, turns into a minus 131. Here in New Jersey, opened up at 126. That now goes up to 136. So looking for a bounce-back spot here for Toronto. What are you thinking here between the Boston Red Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays tonight?
Yes, like I said earlier, I'm going to be on the Blue Jays over 4.5 on the team total. I got it at minus 155. Now it's at minus 165. So it's a value play instead of a full wager. But yeah, you go to Richards against Toronto, 5.64 ERA, 299 batting average for those guys, and 26 hits, 14 runs, and 22.1 innings pitched. Then you go to Ray. You go to him against the Red Sox. He's pitched a little bit less, but against Boston, 5.73 ERA in 11 innings, 9 hits, 7 runs, 4 home runs, 4 walks. So, both lineups are doing their damage against these pitchers. Now, obviously, talking about just their last games, of course, Richards, he allowed 4 runs in 5.2 innings pitched, and then Ray also allowed a solid amount of runs. I think it was 4 or 5 runs as well. 4 runs in 5 innings against Boston. So, yeah, potential for both teams to score some runs. That's why I'll take a team total over. If you like that first 5 over in the 5, you can go 5.5 in the first 5. I agree with that one as well. I think that both teams should be able to score runs just like yesterday. And I like the over for both teams, but I'll be on the Blue Jays. I like them more against Richards than I do like the Red Sox against Ray.
All right, Kyle talked quite a bit here about St. Louis and Cleveland. We'll skip over that game between Wainwright and Quantrill. How about 9:57, 9:58, Cincinnati and Chicago in the Windy City. Wind blowing out, hot and heavy temperatures here. Alzolay, we know the struggles that he has with left-handed batters. Going to be a few of them in the lineup today for the Cincinnati Reds. But just taking a look from Gutierrez, just from advanced analytic numbers, he's by far the worst pitcher, it seems to me, each and every time he comes up. Not even because he gives up runs, but he's just dancing, as I like to say, between the raindrops in this spot. We should get runs in this game, which is why you're seeing a 10.5 in Chicago, a heavy favorite to Alzolay at home, minus 177 offshore Pinnacle, minus 190 here in New Jersey. Cincinnati, and it looks like they're left for dead tonight here, Kyle.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch this game with a 10-foot pole. Honest to God, I really wouldn't. What's the mood in the Cubs clubhouse? Now, look, Gutierrez is terrible. Their team total's at 5.5. They should score. I mean, they profile beautifully. Both these teams should score, but these two teams are so Jekyll and Hyde. I can't ever bet the Cubs.
Cubs look decent. Their lineup looks decent.
I know it looks good tonight. I would lean the Cubs if I was going to bet it. That's how I would do it. That team total, I would consider over 5.5. There should be runs tonight. For me, a complete stay away game. It's just too high for me. I'm looking at the first 5 innings. Maybe you can get some value there. Minus 0.5 is still minus 130. I do think Alzolay is the much better pitcher. Obviously, Gutierrez is very bad, but I can't take the Cubs with that kind of juice tonight, so I'll pass on that. If I was going to bet it, I guess I would take a sprinkle on that team total. But yes, I agree with Harold. It feels like a trap.
One of these games where we say, why do we break it down, and maybe who is even watching? 975, 976, Arizona and Texas. Widener versus Dunning. Slight favorite here towards Texas at home, 139. Offshore, 142 here in New Jersey. 8.5s across the board. Widener is a bad pitcher. Texas is a bad lineup. Dunning is an average pitcher. Arizona is a bad lineup. Where's the fun of this game, Jason? Where are we going here?
Yeah, Arizona, obviously, they have some better bats in the lineup. Van Meter, Smith, Escobar, Varsho. Now, obviously, Escobar could be traded. And on Texas's end, Gallo could be traded. And if you go look at the last 30 days against righties for this Rangers lineup, the only guy that's had success is Gallo. So, obviously, Gallo could be on the move. I don't think he'll be on the move tonight necessarily, but if he's out of the lineup, you can forget it for the Rangers whatsoever. Even Widener, because at the end of the day, he does have 31.7% strikeouts in the last 30 days. The lineup, obviously doesn't strike out too often, but strikes out enough where he can do some damage. So I guess if anything, I take Arizona Diamondbacks, but like Donnie said, it's why even do it to yourself? Why even go and bet this game?
Don't do it.
Nope, that's why we gave you that game to deal with there, Jason. Detroit, Minnesota, Alexander, the lefty, versus Kenta Maeda, the righty on the mound. Heavy favorite here. We are getting some pushback here, Kyle. Minus 210, it opened up offshore. Now sits at minus 186 at Pinnacle. Here in New Jersey, 225s have now turned into 196s. 9s across the board. Alexander has cleaned it up a little bit over the past 30 days with his left-handed pitcher to right-handed batters, but his xFIP is extremely high, which means you are about to get detonated. That's why I made my value menu wager play tonight. Over 4.5, minus 140 on the Minnesota Twins. Any thoughts out of you for this Detroit Tigers team, which was so hot, now so not?
Yeah, I can't back Alexander. And even though Maeda can be real up and down and can sort of be frustrating, he's still much, much better than Tyler Alexander, who in his last 3 starts against the Twins has lit it up for 9, -1, and 7 fantasy points. That's about as terrible as you could be. Kent Maeda been pretty solid. In his last start, lit up by the Tigers, only 3 fantasy points. The 4 before that, all 35 or more. Twins should score runs. I do like that Twins team total, minus 0.5 in the first 5 innings, minus 135. We do that. Why? Because as bad as the Tigers bullpen is, so is that Twins lineup. Take the pitching advantage in the first 5 innings. I like Maeda exponentially more than Alexander. I'll take the Twins minus 0.5 in the first 5, and I also like Donnie's call on that team total.
And by the way, I was really close on this next game here, Jason. Taking a look between the Chicago White Sox and the Kansas City Royals. Cease versus Keller. 134 is as a favorite opening up offshore for the Chicago White Sox. That's turned into 142s. 154s here in New Jersey. 9.5s to 10s across the board, depending on where you're shopping at this time. You look over the last 30 days, Keller's got an average xFIP. I mean, obviously a little bit elevated, 4.87, but he does have some pretty good splits here with his ISO power numbers between lefties and righties. 0.094 to lefties and the righties, a 0.0. So now you take a look at that lineup for the Chicago White Sox, which usually you say, hey, when you get after them against a left-handed pitcher, not so fast anymore. 8 out of the 9 batters over the last 30 days, Jason, have elevated weighted on base numbers versus right-handed pitching. I do think we get some runs in it, but it's sort of backed off just a little bit here. Maybe Keller bouncing back, and we'll see what we get out of the White Sox. Wouldn't be surprised if they do get over their team total number. What are you thinking here tonight?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like the White Sox, obviously, Donnie and I, we love them. We've been taking them in the last 30 days. Their lineup really looks good, and it's green across the board when you look at all their numbers. Yeah. But like Donnie was saying, Keller has kind of been good outside. The walks are high, the strikeouts are low, especially against righties. But he is getting nearly 55% of ground balls, so that's how he's going to get out of the jams. Guys will be on base for the White Sox. They just got to be clutch. They are hitting 43% ground balls in the last 30 days, so it's a low, but it also can get high as well and could kind of be a rally killer as well. So that's also why Donnie and I kind of stayed away from this game, but. Keller, not the best pitcher. The Royals bullpen really not great. The White Sox should be able to get the job done, but there's just a couple things in there that concern you that you just feel like could be rally killers for the White Sox and kind of screw you out of your bet.
Yep, had him circled there, just didn't play him, but I do still think they get their team total and probably win the game as well. Obviously, there are favors at between 142 to 154. 2 lefties on the mound tonight on the West Coast, 9:38. You see the MVP last night? Absolutely dominant once again here. Gomber versus Suarez, 2 lefties on the mound tonight. Suarez, slight favorite here, 132s to 142s, depending on where you're shopping at. 9.5s it opened up at both New Jersey outlets and offshore, now down to 9s. When you see Colorado on the road, when you see the Angels, it doesn't really add up to fireworks for me, Kyle. Looking more towards an under in this game than an over, that's for sure.
Yeah, actually, I like how Gomber profiles against the Angels. The problem is it's the Rockies on the road. All the numbers tell you the Rockies here. It's the highest weighted 3-year OPS team versus lineup. Is Suarez versus the Rockies. Suarez is absolutely god-awful. I mean, anyone who's ever seen him pitch, it's true. He's just terrible. Gomber has his moments where he can be bad, but he can also be pretty solid. He actually profiles well against the Angels here. All the numbers say the Rockies, but the problem is, has there ever been I'm trying to think maybe those 9-win 76ers teams back in the day, Donnie, maybe they were worse on the road than this Rockies team, but I don't know. I mean, this team, those 11-win New Jersey Nets
Charlotte
teams,
Hornets.
Yeah, the Hornets, maybe they're worse on the road, but there's absolutely no way you can back Colorado on the road, and there's no way you can back Jose Suarez. Hard pass on this one. Just don't even turn it on. I think there's a new episode of America's Got Talent. Put that on instead. It's around the same time. Stay the hell away from this game. When the numbers tell you to take the Rockies on the road, something's fishy. Stay away from me.
There you go. 367 people watching live in the chat box here. Thank you guys for coming in, having some fun with us here on a Tuesday as we wrap up the Major League Baseball card. 969, 970, Houston and Seattle McCullers versus Flexen. 136 is offshore, Jason. Now we're seeing some movement up to 155s. Here in New Jersey, they opened up at a 154. That's now at a 162 as a favorite towards the Stros. Need a bounce back effort. And I got to tell you, for us East Coasters last night, said, you know what? I bet Houston last night, run line, money line, 6-0, 7-0. There ain't no need to stay up. Let me just check my phone in the morning. Oh, my God. Jesus, what a fall out there for the Houston Astros. Take a look tonight here. 8s across the board, another low total. Flexen does have decent numbers between lefties and righties with his weighted on base average, but that xFIP might be a problem tonight.
Yeah, and the biggest thing, obviously, like you were pointing out, the strikeouts are so low for Flexen, and if the Astros are able to put the ball in play, I mean, usually good things happen with this team offensively when they put the ball in play in the first place. The walks aren't bad, but look, the ground balls are really low, 37.4%. hard contact has actually been okay. Flexen, he's so on and off throughout the entire year. That's just who he is. But, like Hal will always point out, Lance McCullers is always a really, really solid pitcher. And maybe the walks are a little bit high for him. But outside of that, he's done a pretty good job, especially against righties and even lefties. 355 weighted OBA, not terrible. It's not great, but not terrible. And of course, the ISO at 143, not bad either, especially for a righty going up against lefties. So yeah, the Mariners, they somehow they find a way to win games, and offensively they find ways as well. But really, their lineup doesn't profile that well. You have Haniger, you have Torrens, and that's really it in the lineup when it comes to weighted OBA. Maybe Ty France here and there, but he also won't have much power either. So yeah, I mean, lots of strikeouts to be found in this lineup for the Mariners. I think McCullers gets the job done. I don't mind the Astros in the first 5. Again, don't want to go full game. We saw what happened last night. So stick to that first 5. The Astros should get the job done here against Flexen.
There you go. See in the chat box, SBR Sports Picks and that yellow highlighted. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Good people out here. Thank you for supporting everything we do as we cruise into football season. Might as well be football season if anybody's around the corner saying, hey, Aaron Rodgers leaving Green Bay. If you watch sportsbookreview.com over the past 3 months, you saw some guy named Donnie say, get it out of your head. The guy's going to be on the center week 1, and he is. So support everything we do around the channels. We definitely appreciate you guys doing that here. 979, 980, Oakland and San Diego, Caprillion and Paddock here. And I got to say, Kyle, when I look now, haven't bet very many games overall with San Diego, even on their team total numbers. But you plug a guy like Adam Frazier on that leadoff position, and you look at that 1 through 8, what it's capable of doing, and maybe the Padres aren't done adding on at this time. I like what I see tonight. Good game between Oakland and San Diego. Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, it's another spot where in the first 5 innings, if you take that minus 0.5, you can get it at plus money, plus 105, almost even money on the Padres. Paddock, slow start to the year, starting to pick it up just a little bit. Caprillion, after getting bombed in his debut, has been very solid as well. I would lean the Padres here. I think it's a nice plus money spot. I never, ever, well, I shouldn't say never, ever, because the last 2 times I've trusted the A's, they have delivered. But tonight I like that Padres lineup. Let's see if they get that new toy at the top of their lineup. I think Paddock profiles pretty nicely as well when you just sort of look at all the weighted numbers here. Padres lineup looks fairly solid to me. I'll take a minus 0.5 in the first 5, plus 105.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here. Oregon 245. Do you guys cap NFL preseason games? If you could tell me, put it this way. If I try to equate it here to us the way we talk about Major League Baseball, we're looking at, hey, we know the lineups. We know exactly who's playing. In an NFL preseason game, when you have no idea who's actually going to play in the game and you bet on it, congratulations if you lost your money. Well spent here. Let's close it up here on Clearing the Bases. Let's go over each and everything that we like on the show today. Value menu wager for myself. Slight little play here on the Minnesota team total over 4.5 at BetMGM, showing up at a minus 140. But my best bet and banker on the card tonight, going against my Philadelphia Phillies. But the best part about it here, you can root on the Phillies to win the game. As long as it's like 7-6, I'll take it each and every time. And I know what Jason has tonight. 5 through 5 by the Nationals, and then no more runs. Let's get it done tonight, Phillies. I'm on that team total for the Nationals over 4.5 BetMGM at minus 135. Jason, what do you have on your value menu card and also for your best bets?
Yeah, for the value, it will be the Blue Jays over 4.5 on the team total. Got it at minus 155. Now it's jumped to minus 165. So if you want to go with that 5.5, I still think it could hit, but maybe the better play would be the first 5 at 5.5 for both teams, because Ray also got smacked around in his last start against the Red Sox as well. But the big play for me will be the Nationals over 2.5 in the first 5 on the team total. I got it at plus 100, now minus 105. Still lots of value there on DraftKings because, again, PointsBet and WinBet, the 2 other legal places with first 5 team totals, have that minus 120. So DraftKings missing the boat a little bit here. Lots of value there to be had there. So take the Nationals over 2.5 in the first 5 on the team total. That's my official play.
Talk to me, Kyle. Talk to me. Go ahead.
Well, first, let me tell you what I don't like. There's nearly 300 people watching who have not hit the like button right now. We appreciate those of you who have. Hit the damn like button, for Christ's sake. It takes half a second, and we appreciate it. It helps our channel out exponentially. Hit the damn like button for us. Now let's get to the picks. So, play of the day, I like the Cardinals minus 0.5 in the first 5. Wainwright over Quantrill. Lineup profile's better. Pitcher profile's better. Give me those Cardinals at plus money, minus 0.5 in the first 5 innings. On the value menu, we're going to go to those Astros. McCullers. Profile's much better than Flexen does against that Astros lineup. I'll take the Astros minus 0.5 in the first 5 innings at minus 115. Also, Player prop, I like Matt Moore under 4.5 strikeouts, a number he's only hit twice this year. Don't see it happening against a Washington team who strikes out the 5th fewest in baseball. That under 4.5 strikeouts is at -143. And everyone likes the home run props. Here's my list of home run guys. We got about 6 guys on this list today. I like Miguel Sano for the Twins. I think he can knock one out off of Alexander. Joey Gallo, Justin Turner, Bryce Harper. Of course, you're a moron if you don't have Shohei Ohtani on your home run list every single day. And I like Vladimir Guerrero, who's 6 of 9 lifetime as well off of Garrett Richards.
There you go. Wrapping it up, getting out of here. Thank you guys for joining us on a Tuesday Major League Baseball show. And how about this date, July 27th? We are in the last week of July as we head to August, a full month of baseball, NFL action getting started. And that's why I love you guys out there supporting the channels and all we do, whether it's UFC, college football is going to be kicking off as well. We got some good shows to cover that, the NFL as well. But Major League Baseball alive and kicking probably right through to November when we crown a champion in the Major League. So thanks once again for joining us today. Hopefully we can cash in on some of these bets. I'm Donnie Seymour for Jason Radowitz and Kyle Purviance. We are the sportsbookreview.com Major League Baseball team. Good luck on those wagers tonight.